With you a few ways to optimize Google Ads PMax this year, video and display campaigns. Okay, and that's going to help you actually not just optimize but also scale your ad campaigns big time. The first thing you want to do here is that you want to ask yourself, do your campaign settings match your goals? Because see, the thing is that if you want to optimize PMax video and display campaigns, you got to really have primarily a set of let's say campaign goals. Okay, so think about your campaign goals and ask yourself, does your set of campaign settings actually match those goals? So you have, for instance, conversion tracking. So are the conversion actions being attributed to the right campaign, for instance? What you want to do is you want to start by looking at a breakdown of, let's say, the conversion actions for the recent history of the account, right? So under segments, you want to hover over conversions, then choose conversion action. You can see this on the screen. It's pretty straightforward, nothing really complicated. So you will then see a list item below each campaign with all of the conversion actions that were tracked to that campaign in that date range that you have selected. It can be a 1 month, 3 months, it can be 45 days. So do this match what you are trying to achieve with PMax display and video ads? If not, you'll likely have more work to do. Okay, so that's important from the data set point of view. So one thing to note is that just because those campaigns don't have a conversion action associated with them in this view doesn't actually mean that they're not able to generate them, right? Because the dashboard is built in such a way that it's very user friendly and is also scalable. Let's say those campaigns were also supposed to be able to generate clicks to call, but we're not seeing that in the first view, right? So to check on that and any other conversion actions, we need to go to the goals section, click on conversions, then go on summary. You can see on the screen here. So once we are on this page, we can see lots, and I mean lots of different settings for conversion tracking, and you can check on any individual actions you think should be included in conversion. It really depends on the kind of campaign you are running, by the way. Okay, so I don't want to spend time on how all of the conversion tracking works in Google Ads. Instead, let's focus on what all this means in an audit. You have account level goals, what is being prioritized across the account, what actions are actually the main focus, what are we trying to accomplish with this account default setup. You also have primary versus secondary conversion actions, which actions are set to primary and used as conversions as well as included in bidding, which actions are set as a secondary and all are only used for layered insights. Are this set up the way they should be based on what you know about the account and their goals. And you also have status. Are any of the conversion actions, specifically primary actions, broken or have no recent conversions? Can we conclude that tracking is set up and working properly? Okay, or maybe is there something that needs to be fixed? So that's an important element to really pay attention to. So besides conversion tracking, you also got to pay attention to other factors. Okay, you have to pay attention to other factors, and those are the campaign level goals. So no matter what you find in the conversion goals section, you also want to see whether or not any campaigns are using campaign specific goals, meaning they don't follow the account default goals and instead rely on a custom setup for that campaign. So to check this, head into the campaign settings and under a conversion goals section, see if it says account default or campaign specific. So depending on what you find here, you may need to go back to the conversion goals manager and make sure all conversions actually are tracking properly. And you have to check this. So what about bidding strategies? So now that we understand what the goals are for the account and are the campaigns, how do you do the bidding strategies? How do you make sure they match up with those priorities? Okay. So the thing is, when it comes to bidding strategies, you have quite a bit different bidding strategies. You have realistic expectations. Okay, you want to make sure that you have realistic expectations. You want to have also a conversion goal match. Does the bidding strategy line up with the stated goals? For example, if your main focus for a campaign is ROAS, but you're using a target impression share bidding, you may want to evaluate that choice in the first place. That doesn't mean, don't get me wrong though, it doesn't mean that it won't work. But if performance wanes, that bid strategy isn't designed to bring you back on track to where you want to be. You also have conversion volume. So unfortunately, those with more volume will always have an easier time using the machine learning associated with automated bidding. There is simply more for the platform to learn and infer. So if your conversion goal is not getting at least, let's say, 30 to 50 conversions in 30 days, you may even better. You may even test a manual approach. I mean, at this point, you can try anything you can. You also got to look at budget settings. Okay. So lastly, you want to check out the budget settings. I'm still talking to you about the first the first question, right? Do your campaign settings match your goals? So look at the budget settings. So with Google Ads, you can set either a daily or a lifetime budget at the campaign level, or more optimally, you could group campaigns together using a shared budget across all campaigns. If your account is set up that way, by the way, okay? So depending on what the account goals are, one option might be better suited than other. It depends on, again, what kind of vision you have. So when you actually start looking at your budget, when you analyze budget, there are a few things I want you to look at this year. At least that's what I and my team do. Is there enough budget to support the number of campaigns that are active in the account? Because you got to be sure. Otherwise, you would just be making big mistakes. Should campaigns be consolidated or leverage a shared budget? I mean, in some cases, leveraging a shared budget could be the way to go, by the way. Another question that you might want to ask yourself, is there enough budget being allocated to the individual campaigns, okay, to hit the stated goals, for example? And that's an important element. Are the budget distributions across campaigns in line with performance? In other words, do the campaigns with better performance have more budget while the underperformers have less? And that's going to help you big time in terms of understanding what's working and what's not working and at what level. And also, you want to ask yourself, are there campaigns that are budget capped that need an increase to perform better? Because based on the niche you're in, if your budget cap some campaigns, this could affect the kind of keywords you're bidding on. This could affect also the kind of the kind of targeting you are actually having. Okay, so you have to constantly sort of review those budget capped campaigns to see if maybe you might need to adjust them a little bit. So the first thing, if you want to optimize your Google Ads PMax, the first thing is you want to ask yourself, do your campaign settings match your goals? Second thing is you want to check how you are reaching your target audience with PMax display and video campaigns. Okay, so you want to look at individual targeting options. So the most basic form of targeting for display and video campaigns will be using audiences or content targets. So this can be either the preset audience targets like in-market, or let's say affinity audiences from Google, or even the advertiser's own lists like website visitors or customer uploads. So with content targets, you want to focus on the placement of the ad itself, okay, as opposed to the person. So think of groups of websites based on the topics they cover or the content on the page itself. So this can be actually found by navigating to the audiences, keywords, and content section in the interface, then selecting either audience audiences or content and reviewing the data found there. You can see on the screen here, this is how you actually slice and dice thing, okay? So as I mentioned a little earlier, there are lots of different targeting types of those when it comes to those campaigns, and there are subtypes as well. For instance, within audiences alone, there are 6 different types to choose from: detailed demographics, affinity, in-market and live events, your data segments, combined segments, and custom segments. For content targets, there are, thank God, okay, only 3 to choose from, as you can see on the screen right now, okay? So you have topics, placements, and keywords. But potentially more importantly, at the top of the page, you can see in the settings you can see in the settings for targeting versus observation. Effectively, this tells Google whether you want to exclusively target only people in those audiences or look at that content, or if you want to simply have a new line of data broken out for them so you can observe how they perform compared to other targeted users, hence the name observation. So there are a couple of things you want to look for when evaluating individual targeting settings for audiences and content. Do the groups of users that you have created make sense? Are they using targeting options that are too broad for the audience they are trying to reach? Are they missing more specific targets that could yield better results? On the flip side, are they being so controlling with targeting that the audience is prohibitively small? You also want to look at optimized targeting, okay? So, as a quick expansion option for individual targeting, Google prompts advertisers to opt into optimized targeting. So, as you can see on the screen, this setting is actually recommended by Google, and they claim that accounts that use this see an average improvement of 50% in conversions with a comparable ROI. That's a pretty big claim if you were to ask me, okay? It's likely true, but I'm wary of it since it's never worked in one of the accounts that we have for ourselves, but also for our clients. Now, that said, I also do check the performance of the expanded targeting if it's been used by viewing the audience performance table on the Audiences tab. You can select the metrics to view, and on the far right, you will see the expansion and optimized targeting group compared to your other targets. So, depending on what you find there, you might want to either turn optimized targeting off, okay, depending on what you want to achieve. So, besides individual targeting options and optimized targeting, you also have audience signals, okay? That's actually the last type of targeting that you want to really focus on when it comes to optimizing your PMax and also your video campaigns. So for audience signals, you want to combine lots of different targeting options into one group that can be applied at a high level. This includes search themes and audience targeting, including remarketing lists, interest, and demographic targeting. And this approach for auditing this is the same. You want to make sure that all the audience signals being used make sense and are applicable to the targeting, right? But these are a little less strict than the individual targeting that I gave you a little earlier. That's because Google says that these audiences will be used as a starting point for their targeting, okay? And and now there are some common red flags that you will see with audience signals, like search themes that are very broad and have no themes to them. But also all audience signals are in the same asset group, right? So you want to really look out for those red flags and make sure you can correct them as soon as possible. Otherwise, your PMax campaigns will not be fully optimized. So if you want to optimize Google Ads, PMax, and video and other ads, you want to apply targeting exclusions properly. So just like negative keywords with search campaigns, The exclusions someone uses for display, video, PMax, and demand gen campaigns can be just as impactful as the targeting itself, if you think about it. So for display, video, and demand gen, you can actually add individual exclusions for audiences or content. On the audiences tab, you will have exclusions all the way at the bottom where you can add all of the same audiences from the targeting section as exclusions if you wish. The content exclusions are a bit different, okay, as you can see on the screen here, okay, at either the account, campaign, or ad group level, and can exclude YouTube channels, YouTube videos, websites, apps, and or app categories. Now, oftentimes the exclusions section is the dead giveaway if someone is managing these campaigns on a regular basis or just sending them and forgetting them. Okay, these exclusions can really help shape performance. And although there might be one in the world, it's important to understand that you are constantly looking at a tool that's been changed all the time. Now, to find the performance of these placements, you need to visit the Insights and Reports section and choose the when and where ads showed report, as you can see on the screen here. You also have performance max exclusions. So for PMax campaigns, you have to have different reviews. PMax doesn't follow the same rules as the other targeting types. They don't allow for audience exclusions and have campaign or asset group exclusions for content. But at the same time, there are also brand exclusion lists and account level negative keywords that can apply to PMax. So depending on the account goals and how Performance Max is used, you will review it if brand exclusion lists are applied to the campaigns and if any account level negative keywords are in place to help curb PMax impressions. Next, you want to clean up your assets and creatives. So if you want to optimize Google Ads, PMax, and other campaigns, think about ad formats. So what ad formats are being used in the campaigns and are they leveraging all of the options they have? So for display campaigns, you are allowed banner ads, responsive display ads, and HTML5 ads. Now, HTML5 ads are a bit more rare. So, you should be happy when you see this, but they're not a necessity. You have to, you want to have all ad groups with at least one responsive display ad, okay? And also banner ads, okay? So that's really cool. You can see on the screen here the supported sizes and formats. So with YouTube campaigns, there are actually tons of different formats that all go with different placements and campaign objectives. So depending on where the client is trying to, let's say advertise or where you are trying to advertise, there are a number of different things that you want to look at. Are they testing all the formats that are available for the given campaign objective? Do the videos do a good job explaining the business and why folks should work with them to buy from them? Are there different time frames or for videos, 15 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, etc.? For demand gen campaigns, there are 3 formats you can use. You can see this on the screen: single image, video, and carousel. Okay, so you want to make sure that you have the right format there as well. So the last thing you want to do is to identify performance trends. So once you have a handle on how the campaigns are set up and what their goals are, you need to know if they're performing well. How are these campaigns performing now? How are they performing compared to, let's say, account goals? How are they performing compared to each other? And how have they been trending over time? Are things getting better or worse, right? So you want to have a clear idea. So based on the answers to those questions and what you now know about the setup of the account, you can ask yourself how you could suggest things, okay, to increase performance. So you can maybe see if your team has the proper goal tracking setup, or if they are missing some actions that should be counted as conversions but are not. Okay, does the budget breakdown support the goals they're trying to hit based on the campaign performance, or are they leaving money on the table? Those are important questions to really ask, okay? But on the flip side, what are they doing right? What do you see in the account that's done really well that you want them to continue? Many times, many marketers, many teams, many entrepreneurs have audits done on their accounts, and they see only the negatives. But while it's usually, good to point things out, you want to understand that you also want to look at what's working right. So, in closing remarks into this conversation, I spoke to you about 5 ways to optimize Google Ads on specific campaigns. I give you all the questions and finally the closing remarks. Thank you so much. God bless you. I will see you next time. Until then, remember, stay marvelous.